You're planning a trip to Banff National Park. You know all about Lake Louise, Maligne Lake, Johnson Canyon, and other amazing places around Banff. But you just keep seeing the Icefields Parkway and other areas around Jasper National Park. Now you're wondering if you should take the time to visit Jasper as well. Is it too much for your time? What's involved? If you're planning a trip to Banff and wondering whether you should add Jasper to your itinerary, this episode is going to help you decide. And if the answer is yes, I'm going to tell you exactly how to make the most of 1 to 3 days in Jasper National Park. Welcome back to the Banff Travel Podcast. I'm your host, Celine Brewer, and I live just outside Banff National Park, and I want to share everything about making Jasper an add-on to your Banff adventure. Before we dive in, if you're planning a trip to the Canadian Rockies and want help with your entire itinerary, including both Banff and Jasper, schedule a one-on-one Banff travel consultation with me. We can build your entire itinerary together, including time in Banff, Jasper, and other nearby national parks. Now let's talk about why Jasper is absolutely worth adding to your itinerary. First, let me address the question everyone asks. How is Jasper different from Banff? Jasper is bigger, wilder, and quieter. Jasper National Park is nearly double the size of Banff National Park and is the largest national park in the Canadian Rockies. Banff National Park gets over 4 million visitors a year, while Jasper sees around 2.5 million. That might not sound like a huge difference, but you feel it the moment you arrive. Jasper has this more laid-back, less crowded energy that a lot of visitors really appreciate. The town of Jasper is smaller, more low-key than Banff townsite. You won't find the same concentration of high-end shops and restaurants. Instead, Jasper feels more like a small mountain town and less like a resort destination. It's charming in a completely different way. The landscapes are different too. While Banff is famous for its turquoise lakes like Lake Louise and Moraine, Jasper's standout features are its massive ice fields, the Columbia Icefields specifically, and incredible remote wilderness. Maligne Lake is Jasper's showpiece, and trust me, Spirit Island lives up to every bit of the hype. Wildlife viewing tends to be better in Jasper. The park is home to populations of grizzly bears, black bears, elk, caribou, and even wolves. I was in Jasper in October and was so lucky to see a pack of wolves. Now, an important note, Jasper experienced a devastating wildfire in 2024. A large part of the town and surrounding forests were impacted. But the park is open, and the major attractions like Maligne Lake and Jasper SkyTram, Columbia Icefield are all operating. You'll see the evidence of the fire, especially around areas like Lake Annette or the SkyTram's lower slopes, but honestly, the regeneration is happening, and it's beautiful and inspiring, and the forest is already coming back. Now, the drive between Banff and Jasper is one of the most spectacular scenic drives in the world. You've heard me talk about it before, the Icefields Parkway, Highway 93 North. It's 230 kilometers of pure mountain majesty. Give yourself about 8 hours for this drive if you're going to stop and explore. You could technically do it in 3 straight hours, but why would you? The drive is the experience, and making all of the stops and seeing the lakes and the glaciers. From Banff, you'll drive past Lake Louise before you officially enter the Icefields Parkway. From there, as I said, every turn reveals something new, either waterfalls tumbling down the mountainside, glaciers clinging to the peaks, some turquoise lakes that look photoshopped but are completely real. You've already heard me talk about the must-stop viewpoints and attractions along the way that include Bow Lake, Peyto Lake, Sunwapta Falls, Athabasca Falls, of course the Columbia Icefield, and we'll talk more about the Columbia Icefield in a minute. I have a full list of stops, plus the guide to the Icefields Parkway, and I'll leave that link in the show notes for you. If you're planning a hike along the drive, Parker Ridge or Wilcox Pass are some of the best hikes along the Icefields Parkway. On either one, you get incredible views of glaciers and the surrounding peaks. But one more thing for you to know, there's virtually no cell service the entire way, so download offline maps before you leave, fuel up in Lake Louise or Jasper before you start, and there's only one gas station at the Saskatchewan River crossing. It's probably going to be expensive. And finally, use the Guide Along app for an entertaining audio guide that's like having your own tour guide along. I'll leave a link to that in the show notes as well. Now, about halfway between Banff and Jasper, you'll reach the Columbia Icefield, one of the largest ice fields in the Rocky Mountains, and can be a really fun experience. The Columbia Icefield Adventure is the main attraction here. You board a massive ice explorer, which are specially designed vehicles with huge tires that drive right onto the Athabasca Glacier. You'll have a chance to get off, stand on the glacier. What you'll likely find fascinating and extremely sad is how quickly the glacier is receding. The tour also includes access to the Glacier Skywalk, the glass-floored observation platform that extends out over the Sunwapta Valley. While these aren't necessarily the best views to be had along the Icefields Parkway, it's typically bundled with your Ice Explorer adventure. Now, here's my local tip. You do want to book this in advance, especially in the summer. It's extremely popular, and you want to plan for about 3 hours start to finish. Now, I know a lot of you really don't like crowds, so you probably aren't going to enjoy your stop at the Columbia Icefield Center very much if you really dislike crowds. Even the short hike to the toe of the Athabasca Glacier can get very busy. If you would like to experience the glacier, but in a smaller group, then I recommend booking a guided hike onto the glacier. I'll leave a link in the show notes where you can do that. All right, so you've driven up the Icefields Parkway and taken in all that scenery. Let's talk about what to do once you're actually in Jasper. The Jasper SkyTram is one of the very popular attractions in town, for good reason. In just 7 minutes, you're whisked from the valley floor up to the alpine zone. At the top, there's a small boardwalk, cafe, and the trailhead for the Whistler Summit Trail. This hike takes you to the actual summit. It's steep in some places, but the 360-degree views from the top are absolutely worth it. We did the summit hike with our kids last summer, so they were about 9 and 12, and it took us around 45 minutes up and a little bit less than that to come down. Now, we are strong hikers, so if you're not used to elevation or steep trails, give yourself more time. And maybe book a 2 to 3 hour window between your up and down tram rides if you want to hike to the summit. The Maligne Lake cruise to Spirit Island is the other can't miss experience. This 90-minute boat tour takes you deep into Maligne Lake, the largest natural lake in the Canadian Rockies, to the famous Spirit Island viewpoint. The lake itself is stunning with that impossibly turquoise water, but Spirit Island is just one of those places that exceeds the hype. Standing at the viewpoint with that stunning mountain range towering above, it's really breathtaking. The cruise also includes narration from knowledgeable guides who share the history, geology, and all sorts of things about the area. Make sure you keep your eyes open for wildlife. We saw a moose standing right in the water near the boathouse after our cruise, and it was one of the highlights for our kids' entire trip. The drive to Maligne Lake is roughly an hour from the Jasper town site, and it's scenic the entire way. You'll pass Medicine Lake, which is famous for disappearing in the fall due to the underground drainage, and unfortunately, Maligne Canyon is still closed due to the wildfire impacts, but the rest of the area is absolutely worth the drive. If you want to explore Jasper on foot without committing to a strenuous hike, there's some really fantastic easy options. Lake Annette and Lake Edith are right near town, just 10 minutes away. The Lake Annette loop is paved and accessible and absolutely gorgeous. Under 3 kilometers around this calm turquoise water with mountain backdrops. Lake Edith is quieter, it is slightly longer, and you'll see evidence of that 2024 fire in both places, especially on the east side of Lake Annette, but the regeneration is already happening, and it's actually quite beautiful. Pyramid Lake is another winner. There's a short trail through the forest that leads to the famous wooden bridge to Pyramid Island. It's really one of those most photographed spots in Jasper, so go early if you want a photo without the crowds. The old Fort Point Loop is probably the best option close to town. It's a short hike with just one steep section, but you get incredible views of the Jasper town site, the Athabasca River, and layers of mountain ranges. The trail goes through the burnt aspen forest that's absolutely stunning in its recovery. Now, one that we had to miss on this recent trip up to Jasper was the Valley of the Five Lakes Trail, but it's one that we're anxious to do again when it reopens in 2026, so keep an eye out for that. And if you're visiting the Miette Hot Springs, don't miss the Source of the Springs Trail. It's a easy, short walk that takes you to where the hot water bubbles right out of the mountainside. Of course, there are many other great easy options and more difficult options for hikes around Jasper. As an example, Opal Hills at Maligne Lake is steep but such a stunning hike. So make sure you bring your hiking boots and get out on foot. Of course, if getting on the water is important to you, you can also rent canoes either at Pyramid Lake or at Maligne Lake as well. So there are just so many options for things to do around Jasper. But how do you actually structure this as an add-on to your Banff trip? Here's an example of what you could do. For day 1, drive the Icefields Parkway with your stops at Peyto Lake, Bow Lake, Columbia Icefield Adventure, and everywhere else you want to stop. Arrive in Jasper late afternoon, early evening, and stay overnight. Then spend a full day in Jasper doing the SkyTram, Maligne Lake cruise, add in an easy hike like Lake Annette or Pyramid Lake, and then drive back on day 3 with different stops on the Icefields Parkway. Even better is if you do 3 days and you have some time to really explore. Similarly, day 1, drive up with all the stops. Day 2, do your big attractions, SkyTram, Maligne Lake cruise. Day 3, explore the easy hikes near town, maybe soak in the Miette hot springs or have a leisurely lunch in Jasper, and then drive back the following day. Now, I highly recommend you book your Maligne Lake cruise tickets well in advance, especially if you're coming in July and August. Now, let me share some practical tips that'll make your Jasper visit smoother. As I mentioned, cell service is spotty. You'll have coverage in Jasper town site, but you lose it completely on the Icefields Parkway and Maligne Lake Road. So download your offline maps, take screenshots of important information before you leave. Wildlife is everywhere, especially along the Icefields Parkway and Maligne Lake Road. Drive within the speed limit. Weather can change quite fast at elevation, so even in August, it can be cold on the glacier or at the top of the SkyTram, so always bring some warmer layers. A rain jacket's a great idea, even a hat or gloves. Now, Jasper is less crowded than Banff, but parking will still fill up at popular spots in peak summer, so you want to get to Maligne Lake at least 30 to 45 minutes before your cruise departure to ensure you can get parking, and then, of course, gas up before leaving on any scenic drives. Now, Jasper is going to feel different from Banff, and that's exactly why it's worth visiting. It's wilder, quieter, and more remote. And between the sections of the Icefield Parkway Drive that are in Jasper National Park and Maligne Lake Road area, you just get some incredible scenery. Whether you add on 1 day or 3, Jasper is absolutely worth the detour. Just make sure to book your key attractions in advance and allow extra time for the incredible drives. For more detailed planning help, look for my 7 or 10 day Banff and Jasper itineraries or book a chat with me. Thanks for listening to the Banff Travel Podcast. If you found this episode helpful, follow the show so you don't miss the next one. And if you have questions about adding Jasper to your trip, head to banfftravelplanning.com/podcast and send them in. Until next time, safe travels, and I'll see you out on the trails.